Hello, my name is Dr. Sean Kono, and I'm going to be talking about renal physiology, and I'm going to make it simple. This conversation is designed for chiropractic students who are taking national boards part one, but it's also going to be beneficial for anybody taking a physiology class that wants a general understanding of kidney physiology. Um, there's going to be more detailed information from textbooks or other YouTube video channels, but again, this is going to be a simple overview just so you get a basic understanding and then you can take it to the next level. Here's the overview of the kidney. This is a cross section. We've got the cortex on the outside, we've got the medulla on the inside, and right there in the center is the pelvis. So the job of the liver is to make urea. The job of the kidney is to make urine. There's a functional unit of the kidney we call the nephron, and that nephron lives in the cortex and medulla. So let's talk about that. So, once again, there's the cortex, there's the medulla. We have an afferent arteriole or blood going into this thing called the glomerulus, an efferent blood leaving the glomerulus. Now, let's talk about those terms. Afferent, afferent. Starts with an A. A, I like to say, stands for attack. This is going toward an organ, like the glomerulus. You can still use afferent for your nervous system, meaning sensory attack in the spinal cord. Efferent leaves. Efferent, E stands for escape. Blood leaving the glomerulus and also blood leaving, or maybe the motor portion leaving your spinal cord. So we have an afferent and efferent blood. They go into this thing called the glomerulus. Glomerulus, literally translated, means a ball yarn. Think of the glomerulus as a strainer. If you're going to make noodles, you're boiling noodles on the sink, that'd be your blood. You put the strainer, the glomerulus, in the sink, the Bowman's capsule. So the Bowman's capsule is around the glomerulus, is going to catch whatever falls through the holes. Those little holes are called fenestrations in the kidney. Um, they're kind of pre-drilled, like the strainer would have. So when you pour the noodles in there, whatever fits through the holes fits through the holes. That'll be like water. That'll be like electrolytes, small things, sodium, potassium, phosphorus, calcium, etc. That'll be nutrients like glucose, small monosaccharides, amino acids, small proteins, um, triglycerides, small fats. Those leak out of the little pores in the glomerulus or the strainer. Waste products, most important because that's what the kidney is going to filter out. And also small immunoglobulins like immunity, those are small proteins. But what stays inside of the blood that doesn't leave the glomerulus would be like albumin, big proteins like albumin, which govern what we call oncotic or osmotic pressures of our body. That'll be another conversation that we're going to have. Um, red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, they're all too big to fit through those pores, those holes. So it goes down the sink. This is called the proximal convoluted tubule. This is where 65% of everything is reabsorbed. Keyword reabsorption. The kidney reabsorbs, the bones resorb, and the intestines absorb. But going back to the kidney here, 65% of everything is reabsorbed. That would be water, that would be potassium, sodium, glucose, amino acids, etc. They're going to be reabsorbed, not waste products. They're going to continue on. The reason why there's reabsorption occurring is because there's a lot of active transport going on in that proximal convoluted tubule. This is where mitochondria energy is needed to reabsorb. That's the proximal convoluted. Then it's going to go down this thing. It looks like the drain catch. This is called the loop of Henle. The loop of Henle is in the medulla, as you can see. The loop of Henle has what we call a countercurrent mechanism. So what it's doing in the thick ascending portion, sodium is actively reabsorbed. Water loves sodium. If you've ever eaten a lot of food that contains a lot of salt, you kind of swell and your rings get tight. That's because water loves sodium. Water equals blood volume. Blood volume equals blood pressure. So, yes, sodium does govern blood pressure. But the thick ascending reabsorbs sodium, the thin descending reabsorbs water. Water chases sodium across, and that's what gives you that countercurrent mechanism that pushes the solutes into the distal convoluted tubule. So now we're in the distal convoluted tubule. I'm going to draw a little box right over here on the distal convoluted tubule. Do you see it's next to um, the afferent arteriole, but it's on the distal convoluted tubule? That box is called the macula densa. Think of the macula densa as a thermostat for sodium, if you would. A thermostat in your house regulates temperature. The thermostat in your macula densa regulates sodium levels. So I'm going to draw a little triangle right next to the glomerulus. As a matter of fact, it's next to the glomerulus. We call this the juxtaglomerular apparatus next to the glomerulus. It wraps around really the afferent arterioles. But watch what happens here. The macula densa detects low sodium. What's it going to do? It's going to dilate the afferent arterioles, which is going to stimulate the juxtaglomerular cells to release a hormone called renin. Renin is the hormone in response to sodium leaving the distal convoluted tubules. Renin combines with angiotensinogen. Look at that term, inogen. Inogen means a zymogen, and zymogens are inactive enzymes. This is made by the liver, which then, when renin combines with angiotensinogen, it makes angiotensin 1. Angiotensin 1 is made in the liver. It passes through the lungs, where angiotensin converting enzyme, or ACE, converts angiotensin 1 into angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 2 is the most powerful vasoconstrictor known to humankind. It's going to mechanically constrict the arterioles to raise the blood pressure mechanically. Angiotensin 2 is going to go to the zona glomerulosa, and this is in the adrenal cortex, the adrenal glands. It's going to release aldosterone, which is a hormone that's going to go to the distal convoluted tubule to reabsorb sodium, excrete potassium, increasing blood volume, increasing blood pressure right there. So look at where angiotensin 1 is made. It's made in the liver. You have one liver. Angiotensin 2 is made in the lung. You have two lungs. Have you ever heard of ACE inhibitors before? ACE inhibitors will inhibit ACE. So guess what happens? You never have constricted arterioles, you never have aldosterone, you never have increased blood pressure. It is a blood pressure medication that people take. So now we just passed the distal convoluted tubule. Now we're going into the collecting ducts. This is where antidiuretic hormone coming from the posterior pituitary gland, it's going to go down to the collecting ducts to make your collecting ducts more permeable to water, to reabsorb water and water only, increasing blood volume and increasing blood pressure. Look at that term, antidiuretic hormone, ADH, antidiuretic. In the presence of ADH, you have no urine. In the absence of ADH, now you have urine. I'm going to go over a couple pathologies really quick. Too much aldosterone is what we call Conn's syndrome. Conn. Think of the symptoms of Conn syndrome. Too much aldosterone, too much reabsorption of water, too much blood volume, increased blood pressure. Antidiuretic hormone, if you have lack thereof, there's a disease we call diabetes insipidus. Not mellitus, that's a sugar issue. This is insipidus, a posterior pituitary issue where with diabetes insipidus, you pee a lot and you're thirsty. So that is your renal physiology of the nephron. Now let me talk about this last slide here and we'll tie it all together. Some people learn in a schematic drawing. This is going to recap what we just went over. So, the liver makes angiotensinogen. The juxtaglomerular cells of the kidney make renin, which are activated with sodium loss. They're going to combine to form angiotensin 1, one liver, go through the lung, where ACE converts it to angiotensin 2, two lungs. Angiotensin 2 is the most powerful vasoconstrictor known to humankind, constricting the arterioles, mechanically raising your blood pressure. Angiotensin 2 goes to the zona glomerulosa, the adrenal cortex, to get aldosterone to then go back to the kidney, to the distal convoluted tubule to reabsorb sodium, excrete potassium, increasing blood volume, increasing blood pressure. There's another mechanism going on as well. So, with water loss, you're going to have or decreased blood pressure. The posterior pituitary will be activated where antidiuretic hormone goes to the collecting ducts to reabsorb water to also increase blood volume and increase blood pressure, but it also dilutes out the sodium. Whole different conversation. But think about this. The renin-angiotensin system's pretty complex. It starts in the kidney, goes to the liver, goes to the lung, goes to the adrenal gland, goes back to the kidney. A lot of questions in national boards for sure. So I hope that helped you out. If you have any questions, please email me, and you guys have a good one.